How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Your average gamer here. Like, sub, comment, all the fun stuff. This video is going to be about the best beginning character and the best characters in the game. I'm just going to lump them into one category. We're just going to do the best beginning characters that also just so happen to be very good. This was asked for me to do in a comment, so I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and talk about it and who I determine to be good and easy to play. For starters, Warden, he's a very strong character. He has the 50-50s with the unblockables. He has the 50-50 with the bash that you can roll away from. You can dash back once to avoid level 1. If he doesn't let go of the bash, then you can roll away to avoid the 2 and the 3. That's really the only way to get away from him, which obviously costs a lot of stamina. He has, like I said, the unblockables from all directions. He doesn't have an undodgeable move, but he has enough unblockables to keep you on your toes. He also has a top light attack that crushing counters. A beginner tip, if you are new to the character, when you do get the top crushing counter, you are guaranteed a light attack after that into a bash mix-up or a heavy attack mix-up, which will give you your unblockable. So keep in mind, if you do get the crushing counter, you're guaranteed another light immediately after that. Another just quick tip for beginners, since this is a beginner's list, if you go for a light attack on the left or the right, try to hit confirm it as best you can. Make sure you're actually going to hit the target. If they dodge away and you miss your light attack and you've already clicked for the second one to go through, the second one will be extremely slow and very easy to parry, giving your opponent a light parry, which means you're taking a heavy attack. So keep that in mind. But with the same idea as Warden having the 50-50 bash, I'd also have to say War Mommy has undodgeables. She doesn't have as many unblockables, but she does have very similar play style. She does have the same kind of bash, fully charged, guarantees a heavy attack. She has armor on some of her heavies. She has light attacks that do not bounce off when blocked, allowing her to keep up pressure. You can also do a zone light and then a bash, or a zone light and a heavy. Her forward dashing heavy attack is undodgeable and can be feinted, unlike Warden's, so you can close the distance with it. Some people will try to parry it, but she's another very easy to play, very similar to Warden. So if you play Warden, you can pretty easily play Warmonger. She doesn't have any crushing counters, but for the most part, they're reasonably similar. They used to be extremely similar, but they added unblockables a little bit more to Warden, so now they're a little bit less. Next on the list of very similar is Centurion. Now, Centurion has less health than both of the other two here. If you do a dash forward kick, you're guaranteed a light attack. If you get a parry and you immediately click your guard break button, he'll do a bash, and then you're guaranteed a light immediately after that. If you do the parry and a bash and they are near a wall, it can wall splat and you get a fully charged heavy. In addition, when you charge up his heavies, while in a chain, so if you get a heavy and then you go for another heavy, or you get a light and go for another heavy, you can turn it unblockable, and if you hit guard break at any point, you do not need to feint the heavy. It'll soft feint into a guard break, allowing him to continue pressure and pose his 50-50. He also has the same similar style where he has a punch that guarantees a light attack, and that has a level 1, 2, and 3. The level 2, again, light attack. The level 3 will knock them to the ground, guaranteeing either a jumping heavy, or I know he has a different max punish, which I think is a kick into light and then heavy, and then you get to start a mix-up again rather than giving them their full stamina bar back. So definitely good. The only downside to him is he does have less health than the other two options here. Griffin, technically super easy. I don't recommend him. I don't find him to be an interesting character, but if you want a good character that's easy to play, Griffin's pretty easy. On light attack, he can do an armored heavy, or he can do an undodgeable. He has a good dodge. He has light into another light, which is undodgeable, or light into a kick, which guarantees a heavy, or you can throw a armored heavy. He's just good. I don't find him that fun to play. He feels kind of brain dead to me, but he can be fun. As far as best characters go, Conqueror has been considered extremely good for his defense. His zone attack has all guard and will hit from a certain direction and can be feinted. So he does get full armor on it. If you swing a heavy attack in the same direction on a particular time, you'll have superior block, and you'll block the attack while hitting them with a heavy. He has an all guard, which guarantees a heavy attack if you block any of the attacks. He has an infinite light chain, infinite heavy chain. He has bashes at all sides. You can dodge into an attack, which guarantees your bash for a light attack. He's got decent damage. He can charge up his flail. But unlike the other characters, you cannot press a feint button. You have to go into all guard to feint. But once you master that, he's a good character. As far as difficulty for character, because someone said, the most beginner, best characters, stuff like that. Personally, I find most characters easy. Now, there are some characters that will be harder to play. For instance, Shinobi has low health, okay damage, but is extremely unsafe in almost everything that he does. So, yes, he's harder to play. But if you pay attention in higher levels, once you figure out Shinobi, or you're playing in like Plat, Diamond, or you're playing in Diamond close to Grandmaster ranks, people can still use Shinobi perfectly fine. It's just about knowing what your opponent will do. But as a new player, obviously you don't know exactly what the opponent can do, so be cautious. As far as these other knights, don't be afraid to try them out. Once you figure out a character, it's not hard. Gladiator has very good pressure. Lawbringer has a very good punish game on parries. He can impale, so if you parry a heavy attack, you can impale and run him into a wall, which guarantees a top heavy. Black Pryor is an extremely strong character. He's considered one of the top tiers. He has an all guard, which he can, if you time it correctly, you can flip attacks, including unblockables. So if they go for a bash something, you can still flip them. He has undodgeables. He has an unblockable. He has bashes. He doesn't have like a dodge bash or a dodge attack, but he has everything else you could need. I don't recommend Raider for a newcomer. He is easy to play, but he does have trouble with his game plan currently. He can be beaten out. Warlord, very good character. He has crushing counters on all sides with his light attacks. He has an undodgeable that comes out of his all guard, not his all guard, it is his zone attack. In all guard, he does have a heavy attack, which is undodgeable. From his all guard, you can do a headbutt. You can do a headbutt just raw whenever you want. He has armor on his heavies. Keep in mind, though, if you get a guard break, you can only get a top heavy. If you slam them into the wall, you get a side heavy. So he is side-oriented for the most part. You can figure him out, though. Shaman's pretty easy. I can't really talk about Shaman a whole lot. I don't play her, and I don't like her as a character, but I know a lot of people seem to think she's easy. Berserker is a both easy and a hard character. If you begin learning him, he's very easy. He is simple in lower ranks, and when you get to the higher ranks, he does have the ability to get better along with you getting better. He has, if you swing a heavy attack, for instance, he can dodge out of his heavy attack, which can guarantee a deflect if you time it right and stuff like that. That's higher level, but if you pick him up as a low level, you'll do very well because of the amount of armor, the unblockable mix-up. He's got a lot of good stuff, and then as you progress to higher levels, he can adapt and continue onward. Most of these characters can, but he's one of the ones where you have to kind of master deflex a little bit more to get a whole lot out of him. Highlander, super easy to play now that they've increased his light attacks. He has armor on his second light. He has armor on a heavy. So you can kind of fuck with your opponent. Again, he does have mind games. If you go into his offensive stance, you got to kick, grab, mix up 50-50, which guarantees a heavy attack. I personally enjoy playing him, but I don't light, heavy like some other people do. Your Megander, very easy. He has a light, a light heavy, and a heavy light, and a bash. That's it. He's very easy. He does have a dodge forward heavy attack, which is armored, but doesn't really matter. If you knock your opponent out of stamina, you can knock them to the ground, which technically will guarantee a heavy attack, which will slam the hammer on them. Or you can dodge to the left or the right, depending on where you sent the dude flying, assuming you hit him or you threw him, wherever. Dodge toward the opponent, do a light attack into a heavy for the unblockable, and it will be unparryable. Basically, if you dodge, you'll hit him with the unblockable, which sends them flying to the ground again, and then you get the guaranteed hammer, doing much more damage. So these are the recommendations I have for the Vikings. I gave you the recommendations for the Knights. Samurai recommendations. Kensei is extremely powerful. As you get into higher levels, he'll be easier to punish. Consul, he's hard just because he has armor on a lot of his heavies, or he can feint into armored lights, or feint into armored heavies. He can feint into this, and this, and this, and this. He's very, very good. But if you're going to pick him up just to light spam, don't pick him up, please. Or don't light spam or dodge spam. Like, learn the character. He can be very good. You can do very well with him. He has a deflect that you can do if you dodge into the attack. It guarantees his dodge a heavy, or if you dodge forward into the deflect, it guarantees a guard break. So play around with him, learn his soft feints and stuff. He's very strong, and you can play him even in higher levels. But the only downside to him is he is a little bit slower. Like in Dominion, he runs slower than some other characters. The next one I'll recommend here is Hitukiri. Hitukiri got a recent buff, in my opinion. She got her he or her changes. Very strong character, similar to Warden with the 50-50 kick mix-up. Although in this case, if you do the fast kick, it guarantees a heavy. If you do the fully charged kick, it guarantees a heavy. So you're always going to get a heavy. It doesn't do as much damage as Warden, but you're always guaranteed a heavy. They have armor on all their heavy attacks. It's not as abusable as it used to be, but you do have armor. And they have variable timed heavies, so you can charge it to different levels. If the opponent looks like they're going to swing, you can let it fly. You can feint it. You can fully charge it and it becomes unblockable and armored to do maximum damage. You have some decent light attacks, and now she has dodge attacks, so you can dodge to the left or the right if you want. Hitukiri is definitely a monster. It's mainly the looks that have kept me away from leveling them up. I do have a friend that has Hitukiri rep 20. I don't care for the looks, so I don't really play the character. Aramus got some decent buffs, but I think he's still mid-tier. But play him if you like. I do really enjoy his looks. Nobushi can be good if your opponent can't light parry. So keep that in mind if you want to learn Nobushi. Next one here, though, I'd have to give the second place for the Samurai. First place going to Kensei. Second place going to Shigoki. Shigoki's very, very, very easy to play. Has a lot of health, good amounts of armor, good damage. And he does still have the hug. So if you get the hug off, you get health and they take damage. He's solid. He's very easy to play. He now has a dodge headbutt, which does 10 damage. I mean, it's still a dodge attack on an already good character. He's got good reach on his zone. And like I said, he's got armor. I mean, he's very simple to play. And he's very effective. Now, many of you might wonder, why didn't you put Orochi on? And the reason I didn't is, unless you're like Nova King or you're someone that's really, really good with deflect, light parries, doing good offense and defense back and forth, he is hard to play. Now, he does have a top unblockable, which was a good addition. It is relatively slow and susceptible to option selects. I think they're going to be giving him a bash, which will put him higher up on the tier list. But for right now, Orochi is a solid mid-tier hero, for console at least. You see him a lot on PC. I don't think he's that great on PC, but console-wise, I mean, he's okay. He's a mid-tier. He's not as bad as Shinobi, but I'd say he's relatively good, about as good as Nobushi. Nobushi starts failing if you can parry her lights, because she really relies on using those to apply some bleed and stuff like that. Orochi relies on his maneuverability. The problem with his maneuverability is a lot of his moves are relatively slow or easy to bait, and their light attacks guaranteeing a heavy punish, or The only option select he has is his zone option select. That's, good. You see a lot of Orochis use zone option select when you get to intermediate play. But it's easy to bait out. You can feint and then parry it, and then get a light punish. It's not a heavy punish, but at least you get a light. And it takes away a lot of stamina, meaning he's back to being in the trouble zone. So, as far as the new character goes, the new character's okay. I'm going to say mid-tier. I'm going to continue playing the character, and I'll give a real review later on. But based on what I've seen through 4 reps, a rep and a half on PC, and 3 reps here, it's not the strongest character, but it can be used well. On to the Chinese faction here. Tandy's good with his dodges. He's very easy to play. Very easy to play. And his dodges, like I said, are very good. He does have a deflect. It has a little bit more of a time restriction on it than most of the other characters, so you do have to be a little bit more precise when using it. Other than that, his zone is good. Kick feints are good. You can dodge out of his kicks, which allow you to continue your pressure. If an opponent's near a wall, you can kick them, and it's guaranteed damage. But yeah, he doesn't have a huge move list. He's easy to learn. Very annoying with how good his dodges are. A lot of things will whiff on Tandy. Nusha, I don't think is great. She mainly relies on light attacks and hoping that you can trap your opponent with her heavy traps or her zone trap. Her deflect is still not guaranteed. You can actually punish her for doing the deflect, which is still fucked up. So, yeah. She's okay. Bad deflect. But mid-tier. Zonu, I personally really like. He does have unblockables. He's going to be very good in beginner to intermediate. Once you get to the higher of intermediate, though, he starts to have small amounts of trouble, but not too much. His light finisher is unblockable. His heavy finisher is unblockable, and his zone is undodgeable. He does have a deflect, which guarantees some damage. He also has dodge attacks that can come out on either direction. When you dodge, you can choose whether you want it to come out left or right, based on if you do light or heavy attack. He also has a bash now, so you can do like light, bash, zone, light, or light, bash, zone, heavy. You can do light, bash, zone, bash. I mean, he flows very well, assuming your opponent doesn't predict what you're going to do. And the last two here in the Chinese faction are Zhengjun, who is very good. He's simple for the most part to play. If you want to get just a general idea of how to play him, I did a play until I lose with him, and you can kind of just pick up on what I was doing on there. I hadn't played him since his release. I got him to rep 8 in the first few days of his release. Obviously, I'm still rep 8 with him, so I didn't play him a ton, and picking him up after all this time, still super easy to play. And now his Shifu stance zone attack is unblockable, and it's fast. A lot of people eat it on Xbox. So his parry punish is good. He either gets a zone or you can go for the out of stamina smack, which does, I think, 20-ish, 25, 26, 28, somewhere around there in terms of stamina damage. So if your opponent's already low on stamina and you do the smack, it'll drain their stamina, smack them to the ground, and you're guaranteed, I believe it's a light into heavy is what someone told me in the comments. Or if you just, it might be light into heavy. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's light into heavy. I hope. Next up, Shaolin is probably the hardest on this list to actually learn and utilize. Just because when you do go into his stance, he does have crushing counters on all sides while you're in stance, but you can be guard broke out of it, so be careful. You still have to time the crushing counters correctly. He has undodgeable dodge attacks from stance. So what you see a lot of people do is they'll go into stance, do the undodgeable, feint it, and then go for something, because a lot of people like to parry them. They're easy to parry, and they do good damage. As far as his damage goes, those do some good damage. He doesn't do great damage, but he has a lot of mix-ups. So you see a lot of people feint those undodgeables and then go for something else. If you do one of his side attacks, you can learn to time it, which is light, light, light. It's exactly in that order. It's just light, 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 or you can just mash the light button and you'll probably get the 3. It's not that strict, but I'm one of the people where I like to make things strict. I don't know, Tekken got me into that, and the Mortal Kombat got me more into strictness, so I stay strict, and I know the timing. It's light, light, light to get the 3 hits. Additionally, he can go forever, heavy, light, heavy, light, heavy, light, heavy, light, heavy, light. He can just keep doing it. And if you ever want to end it, you can do heavy, heavy, or light into a jabbed light, which is slower. But the final heavy will do a little bit more damage. He has a deflect, which is a heavy deflect. You can deflect into it, go for the heavy attack, and you can actually go into stance pretty quick right out of that. Additionally, while you're in stance, you have the crushing counters, you have the undodgeable, right? You also, if you press guard break, will have a kick that guarantees a light attack, or you can click heavy attack rather than a light attack, and it is a parryable heavy attack, but it's very quick, and if you feint it, they have a very split second to decide, am I parrying it or not? It's a good mix-up because you can either let it fly and you get a free hit, or you can feint it, and then you get a guaranteed guard break because they tried to parry it. So it's a good mix-up. Now, if you just go into stance and you do top heavy, he'll do a giant jumping unblockable. Very slow, very easy just to sidestep and ignore. It does do good damage, but it's very risky. Other than that, his zone has very good range. Be careful about letting the entire thing fly. It is parryable at some instances. But for the most part, you can use it as a finisher where the opponent tries to back dodge to get away from you. You can zone it'll reach and hit him. He does have decent range, but that can be said for Kensei. Warden isn't quite as long. Tiandi's is pretty good. JJ's is okay, but Shaolin's feels really good to me. I very much enjoy how much reach he has on it. But that's he has about Nobushi range. She might have a little bit more, but it's about similar. So I hope this helps. If I had to, put it into more perspective, if it's going to be someone that tells me I just want to know the top 5 characters, in the top 5, they're in no particular order. I'm going to say Warden. He's extremely easy, extremely good. I have him at rep 70 because he looks amazing. His executions are amazing. He's reasonably fun to play. I admit I took breaks from him. He does get boring from time to time. But that can be said for Law Daddy. I very much enjoy Law Daddy, but sometimes it gets boring. He looks nice. His executions are amazing. So if I had to choose a top 5 or choose some characters that I recommend someone pick up, Warden's very, very easy. Shigoki is very, very easy. Yorm is technically very easy. I don't find him super fun. He's very repetitive, so keep that in mind. I would recommend Highlander if I had to choose my top 3 here. Kensei would be a 4th because he's very good. He's very easy to use. And as a 5th one, I would probably choose either Law Daddy. Basically, anyone I have at a decent rep here. I enjoy Centurion. I enjoy Law Daddy. I enjoy Gladiator, and I enjoy Warmonger. All these are good, but I'm more of a knight player. And the reason I didn't mention any of these characters is they're good. They are good. I just feel like they're cheesy levels of good. Like I said, I didn't use JJ in how long has it been since Marching Fire, and I still went in. I did perfectly fine. I didn't use Shaolin since the last time someone asked me to play Shaolin. I did perfectly fine. They have so much good utility. At least Tiandi and JJ and Griffin all have an amazing dodge to get out of almost any situation. So if I had to choose the Chinese ones, I would probably say JJ and Tiandi, and then in 3rd place, Zonu, 4th, Shaolin, and Nusha probably the last character I play on that list. But they don't keep my interest long enough to get them to high reps. But those are just my opinions. I find Berserker extremely good for all levels of play. You can make him useful in all levels. Warden you can make useful in all. Lawbringer. So I'm just giving you characters that are going to be good from the get-go and be good the entire time. BP is going to be good forever. I had him at a high rep on PC, not console, so that's why he's not a high rep here. But I hope this helps. Anyone else down below want to give a personal preference? I don't find any characters particularly hard, but if anyone down below wants to give their best characters as beginners, let me know. I mean, I've been playing For Honor for quite a while, and if we're being honest, when I record is about the only time I play For Honor anymore. I don't really play for fun or recreationally anymore. It's kind of more of a, you know, I'm doing it till I lose series, so I'll play. I'll do, you know, I'm leveling up the new character to do a fashion video, so I'm going to play the new character to do a fashion video. You know, it's stuff like that. I've been burnt out for a little bit, so it could be, but at the same time, I don't find this game particularly hard as other fighting games, so I don't think any characters are impossible just to pick up and play. The only one I would not recommend picking up is Shinobi, for the sole fact you don't have a lot of health, you don't do a lot of damage, and your mix-ups are very easy to punish, so I wouldn't recommend picking up Shinobi. But other than that, I mean, most characters you can make work. PK has good rushdown. Nusha is the other character I can think of that isn't played a lot. Valkyrie is good. The only reason she's not played a ton is just her 4v4 perks. Like, the perks on her armor and stuff is the reason she's not used more. She has stuff that just is meh. You know, it's not great. That's really the only reason she's not picked as much. Or at least I don't really see any of them. But like I said, let me know if this helps. I know it was more of a rant, but I don't know how else to do a video like this. I kind of played every character, and I've enjoyed most of the characters. The only character I can say I never enjoyed was Shaman and Yorm. Those are the only two I can say I didn't enjoy. And Hitukiri I enjoyed. I just don't like the looks of, so I'm not playing them. And I, you know, didn't love Tayundi or Nusha. Zonu I like, I just haven't played a whole lot in the last year, so that's why Griffin is also still a rep 3. I just haven't played a ton. But I hope this helps. Let me know if this helped you down below. Obviously, I'm not pinning your comment or anything. In case you didn't want everyone to know who asked for the video. Any other new beginners here if you want to leave a recommendation on who you think would help someone new, or if anyone else would like to in the community, let me know down below who you guys think someone should start off with. This is obviously just one channel's opinion, and you know, a relatively small channel's opinion, so let me know any feedback down below, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.